Hello everyone, today we have a great video here on the channel, a bit of a different format. We're trying a PowerPoint presentation and we're going to be talking about all you need to know on presence of mind. So presence of mind, aka PoM or PoM, is basically a mage or druid targeted attribute in Medivia. In a nutshell, what it does, it increases your mana regeneration. It's a little bit more complicated than that, so we're going to be deep diving on how. So your standard mana regeneration, muse, rings like life ring, ring of healing, ring of purity, and mana fluids. So all those four categories are considered to be separate and they can benefit from PoM in parallel. And now I'm going to give a bit more detail on what it means by in parallel. So the PoM, it's going to increase your mana regeneration by whatever your PoM amount on your set is per every 16 mana regeneration turns. This PoM extra mana that's going to be given is distributed evenly throughout the 16 tick window. Of course, this effect, as I explained on the previous slide, applies separately and parallelly from all those four different types of regeneration sources. And let me give a practical example on the standard mana regeneration. For example, a high mage on legacy, it's going to have a mana regeneration rate of 1 mana for every 2 seconds. And in progeny, it's 1 mana for every second, aka twice the mana regeneration. Legacy is 2x, progeny is 4x. So in fast-paced servers, exclusively for standard mana regeneration, PoM will be twice as effective. But that's only for standard mana regeneration. On your screen, you're seeing possible PoM sets. Now, I've carefully curated those three just because I feel that, for example, on the left, that's the cheapest full set that you can currently get in the game. In the middle, what's the next upgrade that would give you an extra PoM for each of the categories that can be upgraded on that regard. For example, in the one-handed wands, you can get a Zephyr wand for 300k legacy, and that you will get an extra PoM of 1 compared to the Venom ones. Same goes with the white dress and the helmet. Now, when it comes to the set on the right, that's the economically best PoM set. And those have the cheapest items in each category that gives the highest amount of PoM possible. So in the case there, as you can see on the right, the kilt and the boots, they give an extra 1 PoM each, and those are the only items in the game that gives in the legs slots and the boot slots 2 PoM. Now the helmets, there's no other helmets with 3 PoM, for example, so that's why I kept those helmets there. Same with the white dress, there's no other armor that would give you 3 PoM. However, on the wands, and it's interesting that a meteorite item is this good because it gives you 3 PoM, so that's outstanding for mana regeneration. Also, you can see on the cheapest full set, if you go one-handed, you can get 7 PoM max, two-handed 5 PoM. On the economically efficient, the one in the middle, you can get 11 one-handed and 9 PoM two-handed. And on the economically best PoM, or aka the best possible PoM in the game, you can get 13 total on one-handed option and 10 on two-handed option. Now let's talk a bit about multipliers. So as we said, we have those 4 categories: standard mana regeneration, rings, muse, and fluids. So let's start with standard regeneration because we covered that slightly. So that X, it's basically the total PoM on your set. So if you have 5 PoM, adding all of your items, that X you can replace with 5. Okay, so basically normal pace servers, you're gonna get that X mana, that 5 mana every 32 seconds. In fast pace, however, you're gonna get that 5 mana in 16 seconds. Now, when it comes to rings, it doesn't matter if you're in a fast rate server, a low rate server, or even though those don't exist anymore, or a normal pace server. It's gonna be through 16 tick intervals. So for example, there, the life ring has 25 PoM intervals no matter the server. And that's just because of the duration and how frequently the regeneration of mana comes. So dividing the frequency of mana and how long the ring lasts, this has a potential of getting you 25 PoM intervals. The ring of healing, on the other hand, is a 30 PoM intervals, and the ring of purity is an outstanding 562 PoM intervals per charge. Now, when we talk about those numbers, 25, 30, 562, what you can do to figure out how much extra mana you're getting from your sets, it's multiply those intervals by the total PoM you have. So in our example, and I'm going to show a slide later, so I'm not going to be covering that now, but basically you can keep that into consideration. Let's talk about meals now, because meals is interesting. You have your slow-paced meals, the one that lasts about 60 minutes, and you have your meals that last about 7 minutes. The ones that last 60 minutes, you're going to get a better PoM return. However, of course, they take longer to end and they replenish less mana overall. However, the PoM is more effective there. So 11 PoM on those exquisite bluegill meals, and on the lionfish ones, you can get 6 PoM intervals per meal. Fluids, doesn't matter if it's a small fluid, the big fluid, you're gonna have that extra PoM mana gain every 16 usages. However, as we said, keep in mind that all those benefits, all this extra mana that I'm talking about here, you're not gonna only be getting that at your 16th tick, you're gonna be getting that distributed evenly throughout each of those 16 tick windows, if that makes sense. Now let's give an example where you have a mage that is using rings, mules, and fluids on its hunts, and this mage has around 11 total PoM on its set. So basically every 32 seconds he's going to get 11 extra mana in normal pace servers, and in 16 seconds he's going to get 11 extra mana. However, of course, it's not going to be on the 16th or 32 seconds that this mage is going to be getting that 11 extra mana. This is going to be evenly distributed throughout the window. So he's going to be getting slightly every maybe 2 seconds, he's going to be getting that 1 extra or 2 extra, depending on how the game calculates. When it comes to rings, 275 extra mana, considering that 11 PoM. Again, what I've done here, I took my 11 PoM and I multiplied by using that multiplier that I provided on the previous slide. So everything here was multiplied by 11. Okay, so basically 275 extra mana per life ring, which basically you're getting out of one ring, you're getting 71% extra mana. On the Ring of Reeling, you're getting 35% extra mana with a total of 330 mana. And on the Ring of Purity, you're getting an outstanding 35% extra, which equals to 6,187 extra mana per ring. On the meals, you can get 121 extra mana for the bluegill meals and 66 extra mana per lionfish meal. Now, it doesn't matter which meal, that's why we have all 3 of them there. It's just because the frequency of mana given plus the duration of the total meal is the same for all those 6 meals. Same with fluids, you're going to be getting 11 every 16 usages. Now, let's give an example where this mage, it's hunting for 150 minutes. And why I chose 150 minutes is just because that's the duration of the Ring of Purity. So let's assume that this mage is using the standard mana regeneration, 1 Ring of Purity, and 2.5 exquisite bluegill feasts. 2.5 just because that equals to exactly 150 minutes. Now, the cost of Ring of Purity would be about 35,000 and 5k in those meals, and some extra food as well, like fire mushrooms or whatever. So let's assume that's 40k. Let's round it up. 40k gold. Now, without PoM, that's the first liner there, you're going to be getting like all of that added up on mana, and that's going to be equal to 8.18 BP of explosions. I chose an explosion just because you can sell them for 5k. And basically that would be costing you to make them, of course, excluding blanks and excluding normal foods, that will be costing you around 4.88k per BP. But of course, if you add the blanks there, which is 200 gold, and the foods, maybe you're better off buying on NPC. However, you wouldn't be training your magic level. So it's a good investment to use Ring of Purity anyhow, even if you don't have PoM. Now let's see with PoM, and that's the last row there, you would be getting with the same cost, those 40k with the ring and the meals and the foods, you would be getting 11.49, basically 11.5 BP of explos worth of mana for the same duration of time, same gold investment. And basically each BP would be costing you 3.48, so basically 3,500 gold per backpack. And if you can sell them at 5k, 4.8k, you're already profiting tons. We can give you an example, and that's a very quick one, just so we see how it would work with 3 PoMs. You can pause and check the numbers, but basically it's the same as I got with the multipliers, but this is just considering a maker where people normally get the head of the mage, the blue robe, or the magician's robe, as you see there, the new item coming from Falcon, or the plague spreader rods. All of them combined have 3 PoM. And basically, let's assume that you spent 100k on the robe with 1 PoM, 400k on the rods, and 400k under hats. So basically you spent 900k for your maker for 3 PoM. And then you might be thinking, yeah, that's an outstanding investment, isn't it? Turns out kind of not, because most people that I know that uses PoM on their makers, they're just using regular foods. They're not using mana muse. They're not using rings. So basically, let's assume only standard mana regeneration. How long would it take for you to get the return over your investments? So 900k would be equal to 180 BPs of explosion runes. For each BP of explosion runes, it would take you about 2.9k mana. So let's assume 522k mana for those 180 BP. So basically, to get this out of this extra PoM, right? Out of those extra PoM, to get your return over investment, how long would it take for you to get 522k mana out of this extra PoM? It would take you exactly 1,546 hours. Assuming you rune make for about 4 hours a day, it would take you more than a year, exactly 386 days, just to pay out that investment. But of course, that's excluding any usage of meals or any usage of rings, which can speed up your return over your investment. And that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. And now let's go for the final consideration. So the presence of mind is an outstanding attribute. It goes without saying. I think it's the best attribute in the game, hands down, just because people can profit out of mana seeding, and also you boost your magic level. So it's an outstanding attribute for that, for mana boost during hunts. Also, mages and druids with good PoM stats, they can profit out a lot, especially if they use Ring of Purity. Now, for the simple rune makers that only use, standard foods and they sit out, I think it can take years. And I took that cost out of 900k for the cheapest set you can find. If you go over it, if you get something that costs over 1 to 2k, then you'll be looking to pay that out in 2 to 3 years, which is, for me, is crazy. You're better off just buying runes if you're, for example, a knight or if you're a paladin, because if you are a mage or a druid, you're way better off making your own runes, investing in PoM items, and using Ring of Purity and those meals as I suggested there in the slide deck. All right, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I'm sorry it was a lot of numbers here and there, but hopefully you guys can take your time, pause the video, read through by yourself. And for me, it was definitely good to show because I've been playing Medivia for about 2.5 years. And only when I sat down to make this video, of course, I'm not a mage or a druid, but I've been speaking to mages and druids and they wouldn't even know exactly how it worked. They just knew it was good and it was worth continue doing it, but they didn't know how much it was worth. And that's the objective of the channel here, is to pass on that knowledge to the community. So they can make informed decisions in the game. All right, so that's it, everyone. I will see you guys in Medivia. Cheers.